joined right now by one parent, Lizette Rosenblatt, a mother whose daughter was thankfully able to escape from the school unharmed. Lizette, first of all,
today, something we're about to experience.
Yo, what up? Welcome to episode 50 of the Verdict Podcast. I'm your host, Splash Jordan. Join me today is the lovely Noanique. What's up with you?
Hi, everyone.
What's been up with you since last week?
Nothing but work. It really has not been really anything. I have nothing to highlight about.
Right.
Even with Halloween. Wait a minute. Did you do anything for Halloween?
Oh, right. That is right. It was Halloween. No, I
just had a brain fart. I was like, wait a minute. We did do shit.
Right. Yeah, I know. I just skipped completely over because it's like my days are running together. No, I went to work on Halloween and I host trivia now. So I hosted trivia at like a little sports bar or whatever. And it was a whatever night. I mean, I got pretty drunk. I thought that there would be more drunk people there, like, drunk college kids. It really wasn't. So I guess they were all like either at Halloween parties or downtown. I mean, I had a few drinks, chilled out. What about you guys? Did y'all go trick-or-treating?
Yeah, the kids went trick-or-treat, and then I just chilled at home. My most action was at work. We had a big potluck. I had to make chicken Alfredo for it. That was a shindig trying to pull that together. And then we did a pumpkin carving contest. So that was pretty dope. So we had some downtime and, team building, atmosphere. That was dope. But that's the highlight of what my Halloween was, really.
Word. Got Travis Scott tickets on deck, and I got some San Holo tickets on deck. I got a few submissions trickling in. If you want to win tickets to see either artist performing live in Raleigh, North Carolina, you just need to make a 1 minute or less video telling people why they should listen to The Verdict, how they can listen, when they can listen, your favorite episode, your favorite guest, or all of the above or none of the above. Each video gets you 10 entries into a lottery-style drawing, and every time you say The Verdict in that video, you get one additional entry. So those are simple enough rules, I feel like. So anyway, if you want to win those tickets, you know what you got to do. Queen City Awards, apparently there's a lot of people still voting for me, and I appreciate it. If this podcast does win Podcast of the Year at this year's Queen City Awards, then I'll be giving away $250 cash prize to one of my listeners. All you have to do is vote. And screenshot that vote, get it to either myself or Noanique, and you'll be entered into that drawing as well. And to vote, you need to go to queencityawards.com/voting. Make sure you put your email address, and where it says Podcast of the Year, you're going to want to go ahead and click on The Verdict Podcast. You guys may already know there's some merch. I added a new hoodie there up there this week, so just in time for this.
I saw that. It's unisex.
Right, yeah. So, well, the sweatshirt's also unisex. It's just I have I just use that term when referring to the hoodie, but both of them are actually unisex. So whatever size you wear in unisex is what you need to be looking for. That's for the wavy sweatshirt and the hoodie. But that's why, the colors, there's like pink and purple and whatever else. But just in time for this weather that doesn't really know what it wants to do, I got some tees up there, whatever. So go to thehouseofsplash.com, click on merch and gear. You'll see all the t-shirts and shit. Buy some shit from up there. And one final announcement before we actually get into the show is that we're growing and expanding. The House of Splashes, So there's coming an opportunity for like-minded creatives. If you're listening to this, if you want to have your own program, content block, where you're speaking your piece about whatever the case may be, we are taking submissions for audio and visual content. Now let me just say a couple of things before you start flooding my inbox or Noanique. Preferably we're looking for shows that are already going. They want to move their home to our network, or they want to just broadcast on our network, which is preferably how we're giving it up. Just hitting me up saying, asking me for my ideas, but my ideas are for my shows. So if you have an idea or if you have a show, you can bring either or to, us, and we'll figure it out. If you're creative and you understand what it means and you know what you're doing and you want to have a platform to put your content, definitely holler at me and I can help you out with that. Outside of all that stuff that's not in any way really related to the verdict, let's go ahead and jump in. I got to move according to how I feel, according to each week. I think some topics are better than others, but really I just fall on the side of what can I talk about at length for an extended period of time. And something that came up more than once, right? Especially with it being Halloween, was this blackface, topic of discussion. And I told you about Megyn Kelly. I don't know if you if you really know who that is, but she was a very prominent figure on Fox News. She's a colonizer of a certain age, but she has a certain aesthetic. So she's blonde hair, she's blue eyes, she's thin, and that was her base was who she represented, right? But conservatively. So the problem there, though, is that there was some sexual harassment issues. She had, like I said, she had a certain aesthetic, so people, may have or may not have gotten out of pocket. Anyway, she left that situation and she went to, I believe it was ABC. Some people were upset because ABC already had like a morning talk show that was hosted by a black woman. I didn't see it or watch it. I don't watch that kind of stuff anyway, really.
Right.
But a lot of people were upset because they took that show off and then they gave a show to Megyn. And Megyn's show was actually pretty successful, popular from what I hear. But anyway, so a few days before Halloween, she's like, okay, I don't see why is blackface so offensive? When I was coming up, it wasn't that big a deal. And, especially if you were dressing up as a character, and especially on Halloween, nobody said anything. She was fired for that. There was some backlash, and, people said what they said and they felt how they felt. And, she was let go. Fast forward to, I want to say like yesterday, the day before yesterday, I think, like a day or two ago, there was a nurse, and I forget where the nurse was, right? So there was a nurse, and she and her husband dressed up as Beyonce and Jay-Z, complete with blackface. And so, once her employer found out about that, they gave her the axe. So what I found troubling was that this person obviously wasn't aware of what had happened to Megyn Kelly, or, wasn't aware of how sensitive an issue it is. And, the nurse, it felt like, okay, I'm just going to dress up like Beyonce. So do you think, like, what's your take on blackface? Do you think that it's offensive, or like, does that bother you to see, white people, darken their skin with makeup? Like, what's your take on that? You want me to go first?
You can, yeah.
All right, cool. So, and what I really wanted to get to ultimately at the end of all these these few points that I had was the black barbecue, right? Whatever this is, this black barbecue where all the, the coolest of the coolest black people are. And, you got to have a special black card to get there. So my problem is, like, the list of things that offend black people has now just gotten, like, ridiculously long. Like, every little thing, every instance of anything is cause for great concern and great, backlash, like anything. And this is a person, and I think that you do have to take the context of certain situations and, examine them. When a person is saying, hey, I don't understand something, why is this racist? Or, when a person's asking questions for understanding, it's like, damn, you can't even have the dialogue or the discussion about it and educate this person and let them know. It's just like, damn, as soon as she fucking says, why is this offensive? Why is this racist? She getting fired, which I thought was crazy, like cray. It's so, like, how the networks or these corporations are at the mercy of, Twitter backlash. Somebody who's too afraid to put up a real picture as the Abby on the internet. So, a lot of these corporations are at the mercy of backlash from these type of individuals that you pulling, your premier talent off of the air when what they're doing is trying to, start dialogue, start a conversation. It's a sensitive topic, sure, but I thought it was a bold thing to say. It wasn't like she did say, hey, when I was coming up, it wasn't that big of a deal. And she was having a conversation. I think it was mostly white people. I don't think that she's the type of person who wouldn't have had a black person on there maybe the next day or afterwards to come on there and say whatever they said. So I thought that was a little rash. Now, the whole situation with, like the nurse with dressing up as Beyonce and Jay-Z, if we start making it be where you can't dress up as a person, for Halloween, we're talking about Halloween now. You can't dress up as a person for Halloween. That's like saying, if I want to be a zombie and, zombies started, a coalition and we're like, oh, well, you're black. You can't be a zombie, or, we're offended because you weren't born a zombie. Like, what fucking difference does it make? Like, we're all putting on makeup. We're all getting dressed up as somebody. Like, if I want to go all out, I want to go all out. Like, I don't get why, makeup is a problem for you. And I get, where its history is and where it started from. But, if we're going to, hold things history, the word nigga that, we love to call each other, it didn't have great starts or humble beginnings, but that's something that, is thrown around, and, the origin has been flipped and it's been used to mean other things or terms of endearment, whatever the fuck you want to say. So not only that, I got one more point on, why this bothered me, especially, and that was and I didn't really watch this movie. I never had intentions to watch it. Well, actually, there's two movies. So there's Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and Robert Downey Jr. was acting like
they had him acting like a black man. I'll be real. You took my point, honestly, because I was gonna say they did his makeup so well. He looked like it was natural.
Right.
So keep going.
Right. They did.
He had to play a role. Keep going.
Right. He did. And in my opinion, he did it well. He did it very well. He did it so well that no one said anything to him about anything. And this is before, and maybe not before Iron Man 1, so this was before, massive Avenger success. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, at no point did him putting on blackface hurt his career at all. So there's that movie. But there's another movie I want to bring to your attention. And I don't recall what their names were in that movie either. But Sean and Marlon Wayans.
Yes, White Chicks.
Were in a movie, White Chicks, and they were whiteface. Some people would consider White Chicks a cult classic. Me personally, I never was interested. The concept itself seemed stupid to me, or maybe the execution is what seemed corny to me, because the idea itself sounds like comedy genius. So to me, it just started seeming like it seems like there's this narrative where anything you say about black culture or about black people, there's this immediate backlash. There's no more talking. There's no more dialogue. All this stuff about it's just straight to marching and boycotting off with their head. And, we're going to now start saying threatening things. I'm just very appalled, because to me, it just seems very counterproductive. Like, every single time we go to have a conversation about things, people getting told they're in the sunken place. They can't come to the cookout. We're going to boycott your shit. You getting fired. Like, at what point the fake outrage, stop being enough? Does it seem like fake outrage to you?
I feel like it's still like people are stuck in restitution. Like, I come from a biracial family, multiracial really. So I was raised by the black side of my family, but I am the whitest one in my family. You know what I'm saying? But I'm broken down just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I've dealt with racism, and to me, it's an ignorance that I can't really cope with. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm very diplomatic with how I talk about race. But when it comes to this, it's almost like it's a double standard. It's also Will Ferrell and Dave Chappelle that did the same thing, and nobody gets any backlash. Kylie Jenner did the same thing, and everybody was like, oh my God. They just got on Kendall because Vogue chose her and put an afro on her head. Like, it really didn't. I mean, to me, you could see, I'm a hairstylist as well. So I saw that, the hairstyle, it was very puffy. It was very over teased, for a dramatic look for the day and age that they were going for. It was a certain era that they were wanting her to look like, and they executed it very well. But of course, us as a Black community, it's like they're stealing our flavor. And it's just like, okay, do we really need to march on this when we know they've been doing that since forever? Come on, that's why I was like, white man can't jump because playing b-ball, basketball wasn't the white man's game. To me as a whole, we are all the same. Like every culture, you're going to have from the darkest to the lightest. If you go to Africa, you have the white Africans and you have the ones that are completely dark skinned, most beautiful melanin you ever seen in your life. You know what I'm saying? If you go to the Asians, they have the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like every race. Muslims are the same way. When I actually had to work for the mosque, it's funny because they thought I was them. They literally were like, ma'am, why are you cleaning? And I'm like, what? And they're like, you're not Muslim? And I'm like, no, because the range of color goes from the darkest of the dark to the lightest of the light. But white people want to feel superior sometimes. And, African Americans want to take an inferior rate like we can't get what we want. Like, if you're going to act like we're under it, even though we have all the rights of everybody else, then you're going to play victim. Or you can use that to fuel yourself to actually show off and be not a statistic. All these marches and shit like that. Like, I know there's hellified shit going on in our community that needs to be addressed, and that is, but gets quieted out because everybody's focused on the wrong things. Shit like that, somebody getting fired because she's ignorant and what's really going on. No, you could have reprimanded her, maybe talked to her and seen where her head was and then gone somewhere else, because to me, then you're touching somebody's life. You don't know how many kids she has to feed. You don't know what she has going on financial-wise. Like, you just see it as, oh my God, she's being racist. But nobody talks about our African-American community that sit there and try to bleach their skin to be white because they think it's going to get them ahead in life. No, you're still African-American. You still got to strive to get ahead. But nobody talks about that. And if they do, they say that they have a mental disorder. But if a white person paints their face black, we're going to war. I don't understand it. The Africans always painted their face white in tribal rituals, but nobody killed them, did they? You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as in their culture, I mean, I think people need to think more on a higher level than what we're doing, because we, like you said, we're working backwards, not forwards. I mean, come on now.
Right. I feel like, if what would have been a great thing to do was, because her show comes on Monday through Friday. So if that was a situation, then bam, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, have some different Black person on there to be like, hey, here's a history of, da 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 da. And then maybe the next week you do Mexican people or women or, veterans or whatever. And it's just, different people preaching on tolerance and what's going on in their community. Like, every single time there's a learning opportunity, it's like, fuck all that. We just want to go straight to getting on our soapbox, yelling and doing whatever else the case may be.
Exactly, but why not? You're on one of the biggest platforms that we have. Why wouldn't you use that as an open forum to go against like what we're talking about? That is just getting her out the way to pacify somebody. Like,
because it's money. It's money.
I mean, I understand that it's money, but I don't know. I guess in my mental, I feel like, don't nobody owe me shit. Ain't nobody gonna give me shit.
Right.
So if I don't go out here and get it, then don't expect it. Don't expect life to be grand and sparkles and glitter, because it's really not that anyway. But even if you thought it was, don't think that it's gonna be handed to you. So with that mental being, like, all this extra shit that people do is too much. Like, that, all that energy that gets put into negative things could be put into such, things that are so much greater. And if everybody thought like that as a whole, the things that could be accomplished, it would be, astronomical, honestly. Right. And that's how I think, even on a personal level, because I'm just a particle on this earth. You know what I'm saying? As far as with everything that goes on. So it's like, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't know about it before you told me, because I choose not to really listen to it because it grates me the wrong way spiritually. So it's like, when you told me, it's like, dang, like this shit is like really going on where it's almost like they always say time repeats itself. And it literally is. Like, I just saw a story on Instagram today where this young kid literally got lynched. Like, what in the actual fuck is going on? Like, who? Do y'all think that's really okay? Like, what standard are you setting? And I have a biracial kid and I'm a crazy mama bear. Like, this shit that's going on is crazy.
No, you're right.
That's all I can say.
You're right
It's
about
crazy.
that. The blackface itself, and then it's almost like a who can do it and who can't do it, because as I said, Robert Downey Jr. did it, nothing happened to him. Drake pictured in blackface, and you have people who have used it in their art and have used it in their branding in the past. If you're not, like, I guess, invited to the barbecue, or if you're not, on the list, then it's like, immediate backlash. We're talking about Halloween, man. There's millions and millions of people who want to be Beyonce. Like, not because of, her money or whatever. They just literally love her to death. Like, on one day, you would think that they'd be able to do whatever the case may be, but it's like, okay, no, you're racist or you're this or you're that if you put some makeup on your face, which I thought was cray. Like, and like how you said, with things just going on in the world, speaking of crazy shit going on in the world, thoughts and prayers going up to the family of the student who was shot at Butler High School in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I thought that was wild. Of course, they were saying how the kid who brought the gun to the school was getting bullied, and I mean, there's some different things there. I haven't really looked into it. It's just wild how there's so many shootings going on at school. When I was going to school, I never worried about I never seriously worried about people bringing guns to school. But now I wonder, like, if I'm a kid going to school, like, is that something I'm worried about? Like, who here has a gun? Who here, if I laugh too hard, who here is going to come back and shoot the block up after school? Like, kids are so sensitive these days. It's ridiculous.
They are very sensitive, and it's really not a prototype per se. It's just, you need to leave people alone, number one. And number two, because you don't know what they're going through. You never know where somebody is at, whether there's their last fucking straw or on their first. And you don't know if you're going to be the one to break it. And you don't know the outcome and consequence of how they're going to execute it. So either it's going to retaliate on you, or it may even backfire on them, but you're still the cause in some way, shape, or form. And that could be a plausible option if you don't treat people right. I always say it, and it's a saying that we say a lot at work. It's nice to be nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not hard to be nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just 1 second to even just smile, because you don't know what it does for the next person. But we live in a society where people are cruel, people are insecure within themselves and point fingers at others and make other people, feel wrong for no reason, and people internalize it and own it as if it's the truth, and you just don't know where people are at. And I've just found that it's created a mess of shit in this world that's really hard to actually turn back around and understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even just the shooting in Charlotte. There was the shooting in the synagogue. When I saw the list of, like, names, they were all elderly, except for maybe a couple of them were middle-aged. And I was like, literally, because of what their beliefs are. And, just overall, the topics that we talk about now are supposed to be deaded so long ago, but they're like more rampant now than you've ever even heard about in any of your history books. We just haven't started a war yet, honestly,
Right.
Like, we've actually kept ourselves tame there, teeter-tottering on, like, the brink of it by our pinky nail that's broken, super glue, that type situation. But, it's just so much going on. The media doesn't help. Social media sucks us into other people's lives, so you're not really where you need to be and, focusing on what you need to do. We get stuck in, like, this zombified mode of routine within jobs and TV and this, that, and the third. And then some crazy shit's popping off everywhere within probably every couple of seconds. Something crazy's happening. You just don't know about it.
Facts, big facts all the way around.
But yeah, all those, it's honestly talking about any of those outside of your house.
Right.
It's really topics that I choose, to try to be diplomatic about, but it's something that it hits home for me. It's not something that I'm impartial to by any means. So, it's also, something that I try to just be like, you know what, like y'all can talk about it, y'all can do it, because for me, I guess you can say I'm very biased in it because I'm been immersed in it in so many ways, shapes, and forms, and it's been to the core of, being a personal thing. So it's like, yeah, y'all just need to act right, please. That's all y'all need to do. Just be nice. Let's I know we can't all get along, but let's just agree to disagree and move along. Stay in your own lane. There's no traffic there.
Hey. Nah, I can definitely get behind that. So, moving off our soapbox before we get caught up in saying some things, and get uninvited from the Black Barbecue. No jail tale this week again. I'll make sure to have somebody next week. This week, I don't. So I'll go ahead and jump into these rappers who went to jail if that's everything.
All righty.
All right, cool. So first of all, let's talk about Tekashi 6ix9ine. He actually didn't go to jail, and I forgot to talk about this last episode, but he avoided jail for once, and I think he was facing 1 to 3 years in prison for those sexual allegations. However, he actually he got off with 4 years of probation, and he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. A lot of people were upset about it. I actually thought that this was a good thing. Number one, he's been very adamant about, distancing himself from certain type of gang activity. And so the people with the big money probably really, bought that and probably spent a lot of money on his legal defense. But most of all, the situation in which he was in wasn't a situation where somebody was being held down against their will. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody was where somebody was someplace being drugged, or was, the girl in question, while she was underage, she's not the person who even brought the complaint against him. You understand what I'm saying? But in the state of New York, the state doesn't have to, if you do something to somebody, that person, that witness, or, that victim does not have to come forward. The state of New York can prosecute on its behalf. Like if you commit a crime, the state of New York can convict you regardless if that, victim comes forward or not. If they got the evidence, they can come after you. So when that video went up and she was identified and people said, hey, what the world's going on? The state of New York, can run with that, let alone her parents or people who cared about her. But And even then, yes, he was in a situation where he was probably, behaving inappropriately, but I don't think that it was ever said that he penetrated her or, anything of the sort like that. I don't ever think that was even the thing. He was just there. She looked a little old for her age, and he was, behaving like, hey, I just smashed that. And then, come to find out, she's 13. Now, I think that he probably knew more than he said, of course, but I don't think that it's as serious as, Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein. So that's why I was like, okay, whatever. So, did you ever see Superfly? Did you ever see Superfly? The movie? It just came out. It came out recently, this year, I think.
No, I don't watch movies like that.
Okay, so all right, so you wouldn't get this reference, but anyway, Kalen Walker, I think that's his name, Kalen Walker. He also goes by he's an actor, model, rapper, and he goes by the name KR. He's actually, pretty famous, and he did a movie with Halle Berry before, and most recently he was in Superfly, and he had a pretty, prominent role. So a lot of people were expecting him to go on to be, very successful, multi-talented, entrepreneur, whatever the case may be. Anyway, so he was arrested because for placing false Craigslist ads looking for models, and then when the girls came to do whatever the gig was, he sexually assaulted them.
What?
Right. But but with penetration though, like this guy is holding people down, holding young women down, and then penetrating them against their will forcefully. So,
hell no, I'm getting the fuck out of that situation. I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not.
Well, I think,
You better have, it better not just be me and you. That's all I'm saying. You better have bodyguards and they better be fucking big, and you better have a tranquilizer. For me, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think that they would know that until they got there. You understand what I'm saying? But then when you're dealing with a person who has money, so if he says, come to the Four Seasons and I got this suite, and you go to the Four Seasons and the suite is there, and then you get there and it's him and he's got on all this jewels or whatever and his cameras, equipment, and this is that and the third set up. I think that you are going in there thinking, oh, we finna take some pictures.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If it's just me and him in there like that, oh no, you're not getting over on me like that.
So when you go and you meet these photographers, there's other people there?
Most of the time I go by myself, but trust and believe, I have at least 5 people that know my location.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, people know.
No. I have myself set up to the point where I have all those 5 people on different time rotations where they're supposed to text me. If I don't fucking respond, they're coming to the spot.
Right, but how long is that going to take? I mean, this guy probably only needs a solid 30 minutes for it to go down.
No, he's going to need no, he wouldn't get that much time from me. That's what I'm telling you. No.
Okay.
Especially if we're in a suite, hello, scream. There's other people in the room, number one, but I'm going to fight you the fuck off me. You're not going to take advantage of me like that. Or I'm going to be sneaky as fuck, let me suck your dick, and I'm going to bite your shit the fuck off, and I'm running. What? I'm crazy. So I wouldn't be in a situation like that. Bro, I think too quick on my feet, and I don't when I feel, honestly, you get a vibe. Energy is everything. You know what I'm saying? So you can really feel a motherfucker out. Number one, when you're texting them about the gig, because I've, dealt with knowing, I've talked to people where I know for a fact if I go, I'm going to be sold to human trafficking. I know it for a fact. And I don't fucking go. You catch the fucking vibe, you don't fucking go with it. I literally tell them, bro, don't call my phone, don't text my phone, block the number, all social media. It's literally that far because of a vibe. You know what I'm saying? But no, if I'm going to meet a photographer for the first time, I literally have a whole bunch of people on deck and 3 of them are my hitters. So you really don't want to fuck with me, because if you get past me, you're definitely not going to get past them. You know what I'm saying? That type setup. And I think every woman should protect themselves like that, of course. And I mean, by all means, please, but I'm not going to be in no situation like that.
Right.
Fuck your jewels, fuck the cash. You're not going to get me like that.
Okay. All right. So, last guy, so far as I know, rapper by the name of Youngin Ace. Youngin Ace, I guess is his name. I don't know who these guys are anymore. So anyway, he was arrested for going to the mall without permission from his probation officer. Apparently he had to stick to a rigid itinerary. And, when he decided to make a pit stop at the mall in between a couple of stops and his PO found out, she threw them the silver handcuffs on him. So he put up a couple of bullshit ass heartfelt posts on Instagram. But as far as I know, he's hanging out in the State Hotel. So that's it for the rappers who went to jail. I'm gonna go ahead now then and transition to these 2 truths and a con. Okay, so you ready for this?
Let's get it.
All right, cool. So, as always, I'm going to read 3 scenarios involving, crime and related offenses. 2 of these scenarios are true and 1 I made up. Okay, so here's the first one, right? So Tony Kukoc, he's a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. He caught his girlfriend at an opener at an opener for another team, and when he was the Take 2. Let me read it again. So Tony Kukoc, who's a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, he caught his girlfriend at an opener for another team and choked her out during halftime.
Okay.
All right. Situation number 2. Aaron Hernandez, who was a tight end for New England, was charged with first-degree murder. While in prison, he killed himself, and his family donated his brain to science.
Okay.
Scenario number 3, Jovan Belcher. He was a Jovan Belcher was a linebacker in Kansas City, and he killed his girlfriend by shooting her 10 times, and then he drove to his team's practice facility, and shot himself in the head.
Whoa.
Right on. So, which two of these things actually happened, and one of these scenarios did not. So, which one do you believe did not occur?
2.
Number 2, you're saying Aaron Hernandez, the tight end for New England Patriots?
No, I didn't even hear that one. Oh God. I don't know. I really was, to be honest, I was over here trying to Google the first guy's name.
I bet the fuck you were.
But I got totally slaved because my Wi-Fi's off and I'm on the phone.
Yeah, so.
You said that part. Oh my God. But Jesus Christ. So.
All right, so we got Tony Kukoc. He caught his girlfriend at another team at an opener for another team and choked her out during halftime. We got Aaron Hernandez, who was charged with first-degree murder. He killed himself, and his family donated his brain to science. And then there's Jovan Belcher, who was a linebacker in Kansas City, who shot his girlfriend 10 times, then drove to his team's practice facility and shot himself in the head.
I want to say the first one.
The first one, Tony Kukoc?
Mm-hmm.
The wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. That one is actually the con. I did make that one up. Tony Kukoc actually played for the Chicago Bulls. He played basketball. Yeah, so that was a lot.
So I finally got one.
You did finally get one. You did finally get one, even though you probably had some assistance from outside sources, but you did finally get one. So other than that, though, I'm completely drained. It's been a super long week.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and cut it here. But before I do, tell everybody where they can stalk you on the internet.
Y'all already know Instagram, NOINEK, Snapchat, They_Brilliant, BYLLION.
All right. And if you like this episode of The Verdict, please like, rate, review, subscribe, share on iTunes, thehouseofsplash.com, and Spotify as well. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at House of Splash, and you can buy some merch and gear from my website, thehouseofsplash.com. Other than that, we out of here.